The Mannie Libbok woes, they continue. And I don't know if that's even a fair assessment, Chuck, because, of course, the Springboks went into the game against Argentina with a chance to win the Rugby Championship in that one. Started like a house on fire, 17-0 up, and then we were pegged back to the point where we lost that and had a chance at the end to win it if Mannie Libbok converts what is a fairly routine kick at that level, but his kicking woes continue, which saw him getting pulled and then dropped from the World Cup, and where we are now, where you presume, judging on how things have gone thus far this season, a Sasha Feinberg Mgomezulu is ahead of him in the pecking order for that fly-half position alongside with Pollard. But that is my question. Is that a fair assessment? Oguti, it was lost by money, or is he copping too much blame for that loss?
Man, wait, how do I say it? Because here's what I think, Jay. Rusty did say, I need to look at the final minutes and say, you should have kicked and won us the game. What was happening prior to that, right? And that's a respectable perspective in terms of we didn't come to, we started out like a house on fire, right? We straight out the blocks, 50 minutes in, and we're 17 points up. That was cool. But then we get the yellow card and our defense struggles or is non-existent in the next 10 minutes because that's when Argentina peg us back and they come back into the game. If not for maybe we go into halftime trailing by even more. And then second half was more of a stalemate because we had so much possession but couldn't do anything with it really. Handling errors, all the other stuff, right? So you can see we didn't have a good day out. But for me, I think when you have a chance to ice the game at the end, and maybe this is a layman's type of understanding, but what happened prior, it doesn't matter. If you've got the chance to win it now, I say win it now, because you can count to go to, okay, fine, he missed the kick in the 60th minute. There's still time to do something about it. He missed the kick in the 20th minute or whatever. There's time to do something about it. But in the dying minutes of the game where one kick, as you're saying, regulation kick, because it's almost right in front of the poles, if you put that over, we win. Argentina aren't going to get enough time to put something on the board. So for me, the game was lost. And I know it's a bit harsh to say that, but I think sports is a game of moments. In that moment, that would have gotten us all 3 points, all 4 points. And if we win that game, Jay, we don't even speak about how bad we were. So it was so tongue-in-cheek, but we weren't at the races, but we're Rugby Championship winners. And we don't matter. We don't care what happens before that. But if we then say, money missed, and then we're like, let's dig deeper, where's the actual problem? I think that tells you the immensity of that particular moment. He should have slotted that in, and then there's not much to speak about because we're champions. So is it fair to say he was at fault? I don't think it's fair, but I think it's the correct assessment to say that because you kick it child, you know. And now as we speak about Proteas, we speak about Springboks. And here's the thing, Jay, that I want to just bring up before I throw it back to you, is that we had gotten used to the idea, regardless of what the Springboks look like, somehow we get the points. We do just enough to win that game. Like, okay, except for when Ireland gives a reality check in Durban, right? We went to Loftus. We played well in Loftus, right? We were good. And Durban was a funny game as well because there were missed kicks. There was heroics by Ulo on the touchline. There was that kick that Chisholm Kobe collected where that just went into touch. There were those odd moments that you find in rugby, but I think that game had a lot of those moments. So it was a different game in my assessment, right? But then we go to Australia. We win that game, the Rugby Championship as it starts. We field a much changed side. We still win that game, right? And then we play against the All Blacks. All Blacks were a side that, as much as, yes, they would say that they're not vintage All Blacks, they're not where they would like to be as a team right now. We both remember when we played the Rugby World Cup final, after the red card to Sam Cane, they came at us and they were arguably the better team on the night. They just didn't have the points to show for it, right? We play against that side who came back against Argentina after having suffered a shock loss. And we converted in Ellis Park after having gone behind. Somehow we get the points yet again. We play them in Cape Town and we struggle to get out of second gear even because there was a startering performance, lap on a lap, but somehow we get the points nakon. We go to Argentina, get 17-point lead. They claw themselves back. They go into the lead. In my mind, I'm thinking, vintage Springboks, somehow we're going to win this because that's just how the coin keeps falling. It's always going to be heads. However you want to toss it, however you want to throw it, it's always going to land heads in the favor of the Springboks. And there is this penalty to make that thing true yet again. and it's missed. So for me, it's not fair, but I think it's right to say, money cost us. Money cost us.
Man, that performance, it did my head in. Number one, because it was late, guys. It was late. Stayed up for the Springboks. Don't want to be watching Argentina come back on us like that. What the hell? But to begin with, speaking of an Argentina and they come back, this is a team that were 20-0 down against Australia. And they then put 60 points past them with Australia only putting on the board another 7 points. So they were never out of it, right? You saw that start, and I thought, oh man, we're about to whip these guys. We're going to put them to the sword. And it was a coronation for me that we're flexing our muscles, the number one team in the world as the incoming Rugby Championship winners. And in case there were any lingering doubts out there, this is who we are, you know? And then it flipped and it turned, like completely. And kudos to the Argentinians because, number one, their attacking system did exploit the Springboks defensively. There was a whole lot of inside passes. There was a whole lot of the double pumps, and they managed to get around the outside of the Springboks rush, particularly when Arendse was in the sin bin for a yellow card. They made the most of that one-man advantage. You know, their number 10 played absolutely brilliantly. He was elusive with the ball in hand, just ghosting past defenders. And when the ball broke his direction once again from a ruck, he made the most of that and put one of his teammates over for the try. But the Springboks as well, not great in the lineout. Their lineout was absolutely horrendous the entire evening. We're talking about players that maybe they not quite cut the level. Like I was looking for Murat, our captain, that entire evening. Did not find him. And then also on the Springbok side, there was a whole lot of missed tackles. You know, it was disappointing to just see guys just keep falling off of players. So that's where in its entirety we lost the game. I mean, especially when I saw how we were looking in the scrums where Oxen lifted their prop, literally lifted him off the ground. It's like, man, Ox he's a different beast. He's an absolute different beast. And you thought, let's keep getting into those situations. Unfortunately, I was reminded when you get a free kick now under the new rules, you can't even call for a scrum. And I feel like that's the anti-Springboks rule, you know. So we couldn't exploit that. But with the ferocious comeback, you mentioned Reina, who's another one who I'm not certain about in that number 9. He keeps scoring tries, like and therefore I suppose he has an argument. But in terms of running the game, I'm not convinced with him at number 9, but he did score that try that had us within, I think, 2 points at halftime. And it was close the entirety of the rest of the game, you know. And that's the thing, right, Chuck?
Yeah.
What you say is true. What happened. And yes, you can point those things out, and those things do form part of the full picture, and there's no getting away from it. Like if we tackle better, if we're better in the line out, we probably have a cushion where we don't need a last minute kick. But that's the thing. This is international rugby, top level international rugby, and we saw during the World Cup, and we've seen during the tests we've played subsequent to that, you tend to come to this moment where it is close and it's one kick to win it all, or whatever the case may be. And you have to convert from that position, especially because, right, we were we got the scrum, but we didn't get the scrum penalty from there. And that was like at a wider angle to the post. And then we go and we turn the ball over. And you have Hendrikse so brilliantly trapping the Argentinian player in that ruck, and he gets us the penalty, and it's closer, and it's an easier kick. And the thing is, with this particular player, with Mannie Libbok, my brother, this is the chance. You know, like the conversation, the chat was already there that maybe this man is not cut out for this level because he can't kick. Yes, he does everything else brilliantly, but he can't kick. And those other things that he does brilliantly. And you know, Chuck, I made an argument for Mannie that we absolutely need to keep him around because he's best suited to exploit this new attacking system that we have. But then I thought to myself, especially after this weekend, that with all the great things that he does outside of the kicking, When truly has that been great, right? And the kicking poor, and it led to a victory where you like, okay, his kicking was horrible, but everything else that he did was so good that it covered over the kicking, and we won anyway because of his stellar play with ball in hand and everything else that he does, or his kick to touch, or his contestable kicks, his up and unders, which he put in 2 with his left foot and his right foot in that game late to put us in the position to be able to get that penalty. So you don't ignore that where money is concerned, right? But then what is the follow-up? Because famously, he's got the no-look kick try assist in against Ireland. Was that against Ireland? No, that was against Scotland. Okay, that was against Scotland.
That's correct.
But then, okay, that's nice, right? But like, you can't keep doing that, and that is what's going to win us these tight games. And now you were in a position, and as I'm saying, you are given yet another opportunity, and Rassi seems to indicate that he's going to be given yet another opportunity. But there you were. And we're not asking you to kick a 60-meter bomb. It's not what Hendriksen did earlier in the day in the Currie Cup final. You know,
shout out to Sharks.
Of course. And it's not from the touchline either. Like, it's relatively simple. But then we have a man in our ranks who this year has kicked 40%. That's not good enough. And you're going to keep finding yourself in this position, and you're going to turn to him. It's just not good enough, unfortunately.